Hey everyone, so in this episode of Make It with Calvin, I've got an update on the aluminum extruder arm, and if you've seen the shorts, well, you'll know it didn't exactly go as planned. Alright, so first things first, this is a replacement extruder arm because the original one failed, but one thing I want to point out right out of the gate is these things are just really sloppy. I'm not saying that I'm expecting the extruder arm to be rock solid, but that much side-to-side play, that's a lot. Now, one other difference with this one is, I don't know if you can see it or not, but this one actually has a grooved bearing in it with a little bit of the straight line knurl, similar to the feeder gear right here. But let's jump over to the one that failed, and let me talk about why I believe it happened. So here's the failed extruder arm. This one has a smooth bearing, but I don't know if that was a contributory factor or not. I just decided to grab a grooved one for the sake of testing. But the point is, what happened is because there is only one bearing and the bearing opening is on the other side, this hole right here, I don't know if you can see it or not, but it got really oblong shaped. And that's a problem because this was, in the configuration it was in, was literally rocking back and forth, just like flopping around so much that, except if I was printing in a super hard filament, literally just kept slipping off the extruder arm, which keeps tension on it, and it would not print. And it was genuinely frustrating for me because I was like, well, this thing had probably, I'm going to say, less than 24 hours of continuous printing time on it. It did not have very much time printing at all, and yet it completely failed. So currently I'm going to say I'm not a big fan of these aluminum extruder arms strictly for that fact. I will say this has inspired me actually to look into making my own extruder arms, either in multi-jet fusion plastic, which is the stuff I do a lot of my train models in. It doesn't give the best detail, but it's ridiculously tough. Or even something like a glass-filled nylon or something like that, both commercially printed items, and see if I can actually make a better arm. Now, one thing I mentioned in the short is using a bronze bushing down here instead of a regular bearing. The one that was in there, I got rid of it. So my thought process is instead of just having a single bearing, this whole vertical area, this whole thickness, if you will, has a bearing inside there. And for those who aren't familiar, these are powdered metal that is compressed, and then it's heated up enough that the metal can kind of melt onto itself. Makes very good bearings for low speed, high force applications, which this definitely is. I'm not saying the ball bearings are necessarily bad. I'm just saying the way they're set up, I don't think it's ideal. And the nice thing is they're really cheap. So what I'm thinking I might do is I might take and actually mill out the center of this so I can stick a bearing in there, and one of the bronze bearings, and go from there. But we'll see. But overall, we'll see what happens with this new extruder arm. But I still stand by my thing of I'm not a giant fan of them, and it's actually not for the reasons that I thought, but the fact that it died so quick was really depressing. So if you guys have any comments about this, please leave them down below. I would love to, know what your thoughts are on this, and I'll see you guys here next time on Make It with Calvin.